What up? What up? Welcome back to Touchback Tuesday, Week 5 recap. Again, another crazy week. Coaches getting fired, players are for sale, bad referees. It's just like this every single year at Week 5, Week 6, right? Getting closer to the trade deadline, rumors flying. We're always criticizing the refs. What's crazy is there's been 37 games this season decided by 6 or fewer points. Most through Week 5 of all time.
Nice. Very competitive. It makes sense. There's been some games that have just been not as lopsided as people have expected and closer competition. And we all know the NFC is just up for grabs. Anybody there. And with the competition that has increased in the AFC, not surprised at all by that stat. It's been fun football to watch for the most part. We've got some exceptions to go through today too.
For sure. What's going on, Sterling? Welcome back. Happy to have you.
Yeah. Back again. There's so much parity in the league this year. You know, so many games being decided by three or fewer points, which is a record. I mean, if you're betting, I guess always bet the underdog.
I'm a little suspicious. I was going to mention that. All games are close now. And then, like every other commercial is DraftKings or FanDuel or something like that.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Coincidence or what?
I mean, even watching ESPN, you're seeing like FanDuel on the side, like, you know, who's the favorite and all this stuff. It's getting out of control.
Well, we'll get to a few. They weren't all close. Trust me. Although, you know, Vegas always wins with the lines, they weren't all close. And we'll see in a minute here when we go through some of my picks that it was a damn good week for me. I was on fire this weekend and absolutely loving it because I won some myself for sure. But yeah, it's not always the close games that you want to look at for betting. You just got to pick them the right way if you do that. But it's based on.
Where'd you guys watch I'm assuming you guys watched the Bills game like me. You know, I'm in the Rochester area, so that's my local game. How about that game? What an easy game to watch that was.
I was at home. I watched
at home.
From home. Yeah,
you did. You didn't go to the bar. Yeah. All right.
We talked about it. We like being home.
Yes. So I took a break, watched it from home, and I was pleased from the jump, man. It was the Bills killed them. Well, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean it was a good game to watch, right? And Josh Allen leading everything, and he sat out a half of a game at this point. Not even played half of a game at this point. 2 fourth quarter sit-outs. So impressive stats by him. Fun to watch. Obviously, as Bills fans, we love it. But, I watched it from home, too. Actually, I got my brother came over again, which was nice because last week I had COVID, so I was watching it kind of by myself.
Right.
And
get to be social again.
Yeah. Right.
Nice to be in the basement for a week.
Exactly, yeah. I had to open things up again, and that was nice.
Yeah. Now, I told you guys earlier, I missed the kickoff in that game, and the Bills fumbled the ball in the kickoff. The only thing I saw was they were lining up at the 1, and I'm like, how is this possible? And then the very next play, 98 yards. I'm like, all right, we're good. Doesn't even matter. It's just funny how that works.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's get into your picks, Anthony. Made and missed. Recap of your top 6 best bets of the week. This is not counting the Thursday night game, which you were undefeated on.
That's right. Yeah. So this is, the graphic will show you that it's 4-1-1. So the Vikings are the the tie, if you will. They did win by 7 points. They kind of blew the lead, which made me angry because I'm like, come on now. You're only going to win by 7. You were just right there. And depending on when you bet this, you might have got it at 6.5 and 1. You might have got it at 7.5, and you'd be even angrier than I am at this. But a push is never a bad thing in a bet. You're like, oh, okay, all right. I still got my other ones. And in a parlay, for me, in a couple of my 4-way parlays, I had the Vikings, which turns them into 3-way wins for me. So I was happy with that. But you look at these other ones on the board here, and it was a absolute fire week. We started with Indy on Thursday night. I'm 5-0 on the Thursday night picks. So that was a win as well. And we came in here, and Vikings, that was another close one, but they covered the spread there. Dallas, how about Dallas putting a whooping on the Rams? We'll talk about that one soon, but I picked them to win the game as well. So I got both the victories there. The Jets, who I know Eric disagreed with me on, was like, oh, you're taking the Jets.
Yeah, there's a couple of rules in betting. Don't bet the Lions. Don't bet the Jets.
Yeah, well, the Jets were a good bet this week, and the Bills, obviously, we talked about that one already. Easy win there, so 14, even though that's a huge spread line. Bills covered that easy, even with everybody they had out. And the only loss for me this week, the Lions, who put up a stinker of a game versus New England. I couldn't even put points on the board. I mean, that was hideous. I called that an L at halftime because of the score and the way the Lions were playing. Not good enough, but that's the only loss of the week. Had I not lost that game, I'd be raking it in right now with all of my parlays that I had in different combinations from these 6 games and the individual bets as well. So hopefully you were following along. Hopefully you won along with me. 5-1-1. That is a crazy good week. That puts my record on the year at 22-11-1, and that is almost a 67% win percentage. 67. Anything over 50 is great, phenomenal. 67, and I'd be getting thrown out of Vegas if it was right here. So they would not let me put in any more bets because that's a phenomenal win percentage. So let's keep that energy and momentum going. Tune in as always for my pick 6 this week because we're trying to get that perfect 6-0 week and really, really cash it in.
Yeah, ain't no way I'm picking the Lions, though.
I made a mistake and picked the Lions.
I know, right? Avoid them again.
I thought they could cover the spread. I mean, their offense has been explosive.
Exactly.
And I just thought, okay, it's New England. You can at least cover the spread.
Against the third-string quarterback in Zappy.
Right. And the Lions had a top offense coming into this week. Something that sticks out to you. Like, wait. Detroit's number 1. There's got to be a mistake here.
But you put up 0 points.
Yeah.
Like, I get if it was a shootout and you lost it. Okay, cool. Whatever. But you didn't score any points.
Yeah. Ugly.
Yeah. That makes you wonder a little bit, right? Now they're 1-4. They did have the best offense in the league, right? For a little while.
Statistically,
they should win more games than that, it seems like.
Well, they also had the worst defense, right? They gave up more points than they've scored. They had the best offense, and they've given up more points than they've scored. You're not going to win games that way.
Yeah,
that's the obvious.
I haven't watched them enough. If it's scheme, is it personnel? They have a lot of top draft picks in the.
Yeah, they do that defense.
They're
young.
in NFC, and they haven't played really. I mean, Seattle. I mean, they really haven't played.
It's been bad against bad. That's what the problem is.
It's just
right. Seattle, same boat, right? No defense. So Anyway, let's get into these games here. Let's go with our rapid reaction. Go through every game, touch on each one, and just kind of go through it here. Let's just go to the music, and we're not going to get into the fancy production this week, right? Anyway, up first, Thursday Night Football, garbage time. Every single time we do the show, Anthony tells me, "Hey, I'm undefeated on the Thursday night picks."
And yet you pick against me every week.
Right. But you get to go first with this garbage game.
Oh,
Colts
boy.
12, Broncos 9. Fans leaving early.
Yeah.
Everyone's disgusted.
What a stinker of a football game. I mean, come on. Could it get much worse than this? Your life is better if you did not watch this game. All right. We're talking bad offense, okay defense, I guess, at times by both teams, but it was really just bad offense. Bad. I mean, Russell Wilson, what are you doing? His interceptions in this game were terrible timing. The Colts just as bad, if not worse at times. Broncos led the game for most of the game until the fourth quarter when the Colts tied it 9-9 and all the fans start leaving. And quite honestly, I don't blame them because the game was that bad. But the game is tied and going into overtime and the fans are all leaving. Broncos fans, some of the most entitled fans I've ever met. When I went to a playoff game there, I was screaming at the fans. I'm like, do you have any idea that is a playoff game right now and you could win and move on in the playoff? You better stand up and cheer, damn it. And they're all sitting there pouting when they're, the team got a first down or something. Crazy. Anyway, bad game, stinker of a game. Both offenses are horrible. Neither of these teams is going anywhere. Period. Full stop. End of story. If the Colts can't score points against the Broncos, granted the Broncos have a decent defense, but in this game you had so many opportunities and you just coughed it up. You just gave it up. I mean, I know Jonathan Taylor didn't play in this game, and that's huge. That's the big what if, but still, these two teams are bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, what more can you say after that stinker? It was the battle of the terrible quarterbacks, because the battle of the bastards in Game of Thrones. I mean, these guys didn't have a clue what was going on. I mean, Russell Wilson, there's no excuse. I'll give Matt Ryan a pass just because he's older. He's older. He Father Time.
He's not making that big money either.
Father Time's not up to him. And you look at the Broncos. Now you lost Javonte Williams out for the season. If you're a Broncos fan, man, it's time to close up shop.
Yeah, it's a little rough right now. Hopefully it gets better. It can only get better at this point, right? 4 interceptions in this game, 2 from each quarterback, 0 touchdowns. Al Michaels cracking jokes, right? You just hate to see it. Anyway,
the question for me, the only question here is the clock ticking on the head coach? Is he going to be fired only, 5 games into his tenure as head coach? Hackett, probably not the best choice. I never liked it, and it's not working out well for them right now.
We're if you're the Broncos, get on the phone with Sean Payton and see if you can get him to come coach your $200 million quarterback.
Yeah, he's already tied up with Jerry, so you have to pull him away from Jerry Jones in Dallas. But new ownership, it'd be an interesting topic to get into. Was Nathaniel Hackett the hire of Rob Walton and company, who just bought the Broncos? So usually when you see new ownership, you see new coach, right?
Right.
Anyway, let's move on to London. We had a pretty good game, mate. Giants 27,
London,
Packers 22. How about the New York Giants, Sterling?
Yeah, Brian Dable strikes again. This was the I don't know what Daniel Jones had for breakfast, but he was dealing. I mean, he had a bloody hand. You saw him making plays with his feet, throwing between 2 defenders. Saquon Barkley was Saquon-esque this week because he got hurt too and came back. So, hey, I know the NFC is trash, but for a young team, 4-1, new head coach and new GM, and listen, man, you got to be excited if you're the Giants. The Packers, I mean, this is what we expected. You don't make second half adjustments. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's just I think he just wants to do shrooms and have a mullet and do the hottest model he can find at this point. I just don't see the motivation. You got young wide receivers. They're running into each other on different routes and stuff. I mean, it's just when I think of the Packers, I think of the monkeys clanging cymbals. That's what I think of right now. And the defense has not come to play. So kudos to the Giants.
Yeah, this was when we set up this game in our preview. I said this is a pathetic game, and I hope it ends in a tie because neither one of these teams deserves to be 4-1, but most likely one of them will be. This is a stinker game. All right, the Giants are not as good as a 4-1 record portrays. Now, I agree with what Sterling said. Danny Dimes balled out and put all of his energy and effort in this game with a injured ankle, whatever, he was good enough to play, but still. And Saquon, right? Saquon got injured, came back in the game, made a huge play that was on the go-ahead drive. So those two guys balled out, but it was against the Green Bay defense that just doesn't want to exist right now, right? They don't care about football. I don't know where they are or what they're doing or what the head coach is telling them or what the defensive coordinator is, but that team sucks. I said this in the preview. Those two teams have told us exactly what they are. They suck. Neither one is going anywhere. If the Giants, congratulations to them. They have a lot to celebrate. They're playing way better than anybody thought they would at this point in the year. And they're 2/3 of the way to their total wins that I predicted, which was 6. So congrats on that. Maybe you'll get to that 6 faster than I thought, but I don't see them making the playoffs. I don't see them being a team that's competing anywhere. And Green Bay the same way. They might improve, Green Bay, because they have Rodgers and they'll gain chemistry, but that defense needs to improve too. And that's supposed to be what they've built up for the past few years. It stinks. Both these teams stink.
Yeah. 3-way tie in the NFC East. Well, actually, Philadelphia 5-0. Cowboys and Giants tied at 4-1. Who would have thought the NFC East minus the Commanders would be, 9-2 collectively? Nobody.
We'll see where they are at the end of the year.
The answer is right? Nobody.
Yeah,
anyway,
we'll see where they are
love what the Giants are doing there. Inspired football usually turns out pretty positive in the end, right? Get a quarterback, add some pieces, and I think they're headed the right way. All right, next game on the slate here, we got Atlanta, who scores 15 unanswered in the fourth quarter, and that's all they scored, against Tampa Bay, who had 21. Tampa Bay all day in this one. Anthony, what you got?
Yeah, this was a game where, Tampa obviously had it wrapped up, and they kind of let them score a couple points at the end of the game, just like, okay, we're done. We have the W. We're where we want to be. Not what you want to do if you're the Bucs head coach or whatever. You're like, hey, the game's not over yet, and this team could still come back. And certainly you're pissed off if you bet the spread, because Tampa Bay allowed those points and didn't cover, even though they were covering the entire game up until that point. So a little frustrating there. I did pick them in my weekly picks, although they were not part of my pick six. So they win the game. They knew they were going to win the game comfortably. Tom Brady casually goes over 350 yards. It's that this was the get back on track game for them, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, the Falcons, man. Marcus Mariota, he's trash. He 14-25, 147 yards. They didn't have a receiver to get over 40 yards receiving in this game. But the fact that the Bucs let them come back in the game is sad. Mm-hmm. And this whole Brady's a complete bitch. Sorry for my French, but he is, because that whole getting sacked on third down and then you try to trip a player. Like, get out of here, dude. Yeah. Like, you're so full of yourself, man. So I don't want to hear nothing about Tom Brady. F him. F
the roughing the passer call, which I know we're going to get into, but
not all roughing calls are created equal, but this is a huge range, right?
Oh my God.
From Josh Allen's hits to Tom Brady's hits, there's a huge variance. Can't have that.
Jerome Berger, this is the second call he's botched in a row. Week to week, so let's hope to God that he's not the referee for the Bills Chiefs game.
Man, that would be terrible.
Big game coming up week 6, 4:25 game as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, get on to the next one here. Staying in the AFC East, which everybody except the Patriots has a winning record in the AFC East. Mark your calendars, everybody. Feel that energy, and also, start buying some food because the world might be ending.
Yeah, right.
How about this game, though? The Dolphins on their third-string quarterback score 17 points, and the New York Football Jets 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, Sterling, I think it's your turn to go first, but I can take it. Yeah, it's fine. I can take it if you want, but that's
Skylar Thompson was your quarterback. Teddy
after the first play.
I don't know what it is in these concussions with these teams. I mean, you're seeing a lot of this going on around the league, but I mean, I'm not making light of the fact that Teddy Bridgewater got hurt, but I am making light of the fact that the Dolphins fans are now making excuses as to why they lost to the Jets, which is kind of contradictory from when the Bills lost to the Dolphins. I don't know. They're saying like, "Oh my God, the Jets just act like they won the Super Bowl," and blah blah blah. I was like,
"That was you 2 weeks ago."
2 weeks before, you get everything that you deserve. Kudos to Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall, though they have really good games. The Jets just 2 games in a row. Zach Wilson coming in playing solid. So I mean, if you're a Jets fan, be excited.
Yeah, and look, you can't say nobody predicted this, because I did. I said this on our preview show. I said that New England will be in last place and that the Jets will be above them, because the Jets put together a really good team and have really good young pieces that are going to build momentum and win games they shouldn't, and I don't see New England doing that. So I don't believe New England will do it, especially now with the injury to Mac Jones, which I did not predict. But, and look at the Jets here, putting up 40. Okay, there were some injuries on the Miami offense, and you don't plan to start your third-string quarterback the whole game after one play. But 40 points? I mean, who's out on the Miami defense? You got no excuse to put that many points up to the Jets. And the Jets, I mean, I give them credit. They made big plays in this game. Like you said, Breece Hall balled out, made some long plays down the field, good runs, good run after the catch. Look like the player they want him to be. Sauce Gardner on the defense, getting the interception and making plays there. I mean, the Jets look really good for a rebuilding team. They were able to take advantage of Miami and having backup quarterback in. And that's what you got to do. They did what they were supposed to do. And that's an excellent place to be for the New York Jets.
Yeah, Breece Hall, 3 yards short of 100 yards. But really, both these quarterbacks didn't really play well on the day. Zach Wilson, 14-21. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Skylar Thompson, 7th-round pick out of Kansas State. Rookie, mind you, 19-33, 166 yards, 1 interception. So, Pretty
Hall
quiet
was
day.
3 yards short of 100 yards rushing because he got 100 yards receiving. He had 100 yards receiving in this game from that big bomb down the field.
That 200 yards.
Yeah, it's 100 yards on the
Almost
the dot.
200 yards from
receptions,
scrimmage.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. 79 yards the long for that, but rushing 3 yards short of 100-yard rushing. All right, let's move on to the next one here. We got Seattle at New Orleans. Geno Smith comes into the week with the highest completion percentage in the league. That's 64% in this game, so that's probably no longer the case.
I'd imagine, yeah.
How are the Seahawks scoring this many points?
Good question. Well, we talked about this before the season. They got a lot of speed on this team. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Noah Fant's a faster tight end. That's all I got for you, though.
Yeah, and they scored 2 late touchdowns in this one. Exactly why was because they were down by a lot of points, right? When your team that's down by a lot of points, you need to go balls to the wall, make big plays, right? And that's what they did. They had to throw it all out there, and it worked in this case to get more points on the board. Granted, they were still down by a lot, and every time they scored, so did the Saints, so they were never up in this game. But they had Tyler Lockett had a 40-yard pass, and Kenneth Walker, the rookie running back, who I love, had a 69-yard run. So 2 long touchdowns in the fourth quarter, right? That's because you're down by a lot of points and you're trying to claw your way back in the game. So, yeah, never really had a lead, but, we're able to come back. Yes, they scored more points on the Saints defense than I thought they would, for sure. But, again, garbage time when you're trying to claw your way back. It's not as impressive to me. And Geno Smith's completion percentage definitely came back down to earth. But he does have a Tyler Lockett and friggin' DK Metcalf. What are you going to do?
Sure.
Those are two.
Right, Geno's playing decent at this stage in his career. Everyone thought he was washed up. I mean, he's having a decent year so far. Give him credit, although it's garbage time. Bigger story is the Saints. Alvin Kamara comes back. Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara combined for 306 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's the big story on the day there. Hill is the third player ever to record at least 100 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a touchdown pass in a single game. Joins old Ronnie Brown from the Miami Dolphins. Remember the old Wildcat days?
Wow.
Yeah.
And LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005.
Oh, that one doesn't surprise me. A superstar running back.
Tight end, quarterback, running back. I don't know what Taysom Hill is, but whatever he's doing right now is working for them.
It's working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to give them too much credit saying that you played the worst defense in the league in the Seahawks, right? So, yeah. I'm a little disappointed in the Saints defense. Like, I thought that they'd be a lot better, and they're just not. They're not good this year.
That wasn't. You can't give up that many points in garbage time to a bad team like Seattle. I mean, they have playmakers, but still, you're up by a lot. You got to maintain that. And I will give New Orleans credit for getting creative. When you have Andy Dalton as your quarterback, you're not expecting him to make explosive, dynamic plays. You're expecting him to toe the line, basically. And so what do? You get creative. You use Taysom Hill. You use Alvin Kamara. Use the weapons you got to score points, and that's exactly what they did very effectively in this game. So I give them credit there, and hopefully the offense will be back more toward a balanced pass rush when Jameis Winston is healthy and back playing.
For sure, and that'll be an interesting story going forward. Andy Dalton.
Does he come back? Yeah.
He can manage the game for you, right? That's the big question. Right. Turnovers will lose you the game, right? So that'll be something to keep an eye on. We say it every single week. Next one here. Detroit Lions lay an egg against the New England Patriots with a third-string quarterback. I'm confused on this one. What do you guys think?
Jared Goff stinks.
He does.
I mean, how do you get blanked? If we were to reverse the roles, I can understand Bailey Zappi came in and he's a rookie, couldn't get it going. But you're a veteran quarterback, and you had Amon-Ra St. Brown back. There's no excuse. I mean, I know the Patriots defense is good, right? Good-ish, we want to say. But 0 points, like you didn't put up a fight, like that's inexcusable.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in 9 or 10 games that Amon-Ra St. Brown has not scored a touchdown. And obviously 0, and they didn't score anything. But that's pretty remarkable in and of itself. What a start to his career. But yeah, New England here, I give them credit for their defense. We knew their defense was good, but not this great. They're not shut out the top scoring offense, in quotes, because of the teams they faced. and not be able to put any points on the board. And you're right, Jared Goff is the person to blame here. That fumble that he had that was returned for a touchdown, I mean, that was stupid. That was just
an interception on the day as well. Yep.
The interception, that was a key interception as well. Yeah, so I mean, turnovers, you're going to lose the game, and it is solely on the back of Jared Goff, and that's what we expect from him. If he doesn't get to hand the ball off, DeAndre Swift's still out in this game, and that dynamic running threat is what sets up the good passing game, I think, and they didn't have that, and it got completely blown up and shut down.
Yeah, and Jared Goff, we've talked about him numerous times, and he just hot, cold streaks this year. It's been the story. When he's hot, they play pretty well. When he's cold, they get blown out. Right?
But hot for him is like 350 yards, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown, right? I mean, or 2 touchdowns.
We just haven't seen the full 4 quarters from Jared Goff this season so far. But they remain to be a storyline. I mean, they're 3rd in passing touchdowns on the season. They're 5th in total offense as of right now before the Monday night game. So that's something to keep an eye on. They should be better. Expect more defense from them. Something's wrong with their defense for sure.
Yeah, they can't stop the run. Ramondre Stevenson had over 100 and some odd yards on 25 carries. I mean, come on, man. Like,
yeah, it's the same plays, right? Delayed screens. And you don't need a quarterback to throw to operate this type of offense, right? Anybody can do it, it seems like. Anyway, moving on to the next one here, we got Chicago at Minnesota. Close game, but Minnesota pulls it out. Minnesota now 4-1, takes the lead in the division. What do you think about this one, Anthony?
Yeah, this is Minnesota, right? My team that I've been clamoring for, and they're 4-1 on the season and looking good. But the concerning thing here for me was they looked dominant in the first half, right? As you should against an inferior opponent like the Bears. And then they kind of let them claw back and come back and score more points. They outscored them in the third quarter 9-0, and then it's like, what is going on? Stop it. Right? Like, please get it together. And it took a late touchdown score for them to win this game. So, yeah, it was nerve-wracking to say the least. And this was one of the games I bet that was ultimately a push for me, but certainly not what I wanted to see at the end of the game. But momentum going the right way. Kirk Cousins had a great game. And the bad part was really on the Vikings defensive side. Dalvin Cook, good to see him doing well again. 94 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. Jefferson put up the stats as well. So when your key guys are playing well and hitting on all cylinders, you should be dominating games. And the only reason they let the Bears back in was because their defense kind of looked like, oh, okay, we're good in the second half instead of giving it their all and pounding it.
Yeah, Justin Fields had a decent day, 50-21, 208 yards. But again, I mean, David Montgomery came back and Khalil Herbert only had 4 carries. I mean, I think they should try to feature the 2 of them more often in this attack. I mean, because he doesn't have any weapons. I mean, Darnell Mooney, and how much are you going to rely on Cole Kmet, right? I mean, he Notre Dame guy, I just don't see it. So the fact that they've won 2 games this year is like, that's awesome. But, I don't expect them to win many more games, man. But, if you're the Vikings, you're supposed to win this game. It's a division game, and a win is a win in the NFL, and the Vikings are 4-1. It's good to see Dalvin Cook back on the stat sheet, though.
Yeah, I think there's a good argument to say that Vikings could be the most balanced team in the NFL. And Justin Jefferson just continues to impress. It's his 6th career game with at least 150 receiving yards. You can't stop the guy, right?
You just got here.
Guarding him and Dalvin Cook together, I mean, it makes Kirk Cousins look phenomenal, right?
Can't wait to see him in the Super Bowl versus the Bills. Can't wait for it. That'll be a great matchup. We'll get to see the preview in a few weeks here. They do play in the regular season.
Bills are going to smoke them.
It does seem like the NFC is still wide open as well as the AFC. I mean, no clear favorites at this point. I would say Buffalo, but then there's Kansas City in the way. There's other teams in the way as well.
We'll figure that one out this week. So.
All right, moving on to the next one here. We got Barn Burner. Houston gets their first win, 13-6 versus Jacksonville Jaguars. And maybe we're a little too high on Jacksonville.
Pump the brakes there, buddy, because I was just about to say that although I thought Jacksonville would win, I picked with the points Houston and said that they would be more competitive than people expected in this game. And I'm happy that they actually got their first win of the season here, because people were so overhyping Jacksonville. And I kept saying, we got to pump the brakes here. Let's see them string it together and prove this is what we're seeing is real. And all of a sudden now they have no run game, and you know, the quarterback who was heaven sent suddenly can't make anything happen against an inferior team. We know that Houston's defense is playing well because of Lovie Smith, because of the players they've got consistently. You expect them to play well, but not this dominant where they hold a fairly good offense to 6 points. I mean, this is a collapse by Jacksonville, but good on Houston to get their first win.
Yeah, both of these teams are trash. But Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he didn't have a terrible game. I mean, he did throw 2 picks, untimely picks. But, I mean,
that's a bad game. No touchdowns.
I would say, I mean, consider who we're talking about. We're talking about the Jaguars. Now, I think they're streaky. You want to talk about a streaky team? I think this is them. I wouldn't write them off just yet. I still think they could do something, man. They got the defense to make it happen. I think they can get to a wild card, possibly. And the AFC South is just not that good. I mean, who's.
That's what they have going for.
That's what I'm saying.
They could still win the division.
Tennessee, I think.
Tennessee's not going to happen, but they could.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad right now. So,
yeah.
Hey, Damian Pierce again, 99 yards rushing. The guy is he's good.
Yeah, he looks good, and I like Houston's defense, right?
Yeah.
They're holding teams to low-scoring games, and really, Trevor Lawrence, just the turnovers are killing him. 2 interceptions in this game. I'm not sure about the fumbles. Looks like no fumbles in this one, but just killing them. After the 5 turnovers last week, 2 in this game, you know, got to snap out of it, right? This team will go as far as Trevor Lawrence will take them, and right now he's the reason they're losing.
Christian Kirk, 1 catch, 11 yards ain't going to cut it. For what you paid,
oh, yeah,
exactly.
This was his worst game yet this season, though. He's been playing pretty well, but that's what I mean. All of a sudden, it shut down. I mean, what happened? You guys had the connection going all year, and now it's shut down. Right. You can't let that happen against an inferior team in Houston.
You got to manufacture ways to get him the ball. I mean, you just do, and they didn't do it. They didn't do a good job of it on Sunday.
Lovie Smith and the Texans defense hold James Robinson, who's had a great year so far, 2.7 yards a carry. 10 attempts, 27 yards.
Yeah.
They had to start passing the ball, and that's what led to the turnovers.
Yep.
All right, next one on the slate here, we got Tennessee, who I think the score's backwards.
Backwards, right? There. They won.
Tennessee won 21-17 over the Commanders. Commanders continued to have a losing streak here. Can't get enough production out of Carson Wentz, it seems like. Can't get enough quality quarterback play, so much so that Ron Rivera says, how come the other NFC East teams are doing well and you're not? He says quarterback.
Yeah.
That's not a glowing endorsement for Carson Wentz.
No.
I mean, this guy cannot catch a break. Wherever he goes, it's just turmoil and
What is the deal, though? Like, we don't see it, right? He's kind of a mystery because it's like he looks the part, right? Big country guy, can throw the ball.
He does.
He doesn't always make the best decisions
at inopportune times. That's the problem. This is the
exactly
decision making. 25 of 38, 359, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I mean, he makes stupid plays. I don't know if it's a pressure thing, if it's a just his overall judgment of what reading a defense pre and post snap, but moments he'll look great, and then he just does like stupid stuff, and you're just like, what are you doing, man? That has to be frustrating.
It
has to be frustrating so much. I mean, Diami Brown, 2 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Coach, after you get shipped out of Indianapolis, your coach calls you out in week 5.
Yeah,
there's more to this than just
the Colts owner wouldn't even call you by name. Like,
there's something going on the back end for sure.
If you only look at the stat sheet, you're like, wow, Carson Wentz had 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That doesn't look like a bad day. But when you watch the game, you realize exactly what Sterling's saying, that it's Carson Wentz making some bonehead decisions, not being the leader and the cerebral player you needed to be at quarterback to lead a team. And I think that is ultimately costing Washington. This was such a winnable game for them. So many opportunities. And I said that at the beginning. I picked Tennessee to win, but I did say during our preview that this is a game where the Commanders could use it and this could be their upset game. But sure enough, they couldn't string it together. And that is what I think Ron Rivera called out Carson Wentz for and said, it's our quarterback. I mean, just play smarter. You got to play better than you are right now. And the calls are going to be out there. You know, look down the depth chart at quarterback. Where is this team going to go? Heineke? I mean, they already been there, done that. It didn't work out. Sam Howell is the number 3, and I think we're going to eventually see him this season before all is said and done at quarterback. And it might be sooner rather than later.
That'd be interesting because, I mean, Carson Wentz, I mean, he's getting a lot of yardage, right? Like you said, on the stat sheet, looking pretty decent, just inopportune times. For Tennessee, though, now 3-2, it looks like they can ride Derrick Henry all the way to the playoffs, right?
That's what they do.
That's what they do. They don't even need a receiving core.
I mean, how can we rely on him to be healthy? You know, I think that's a risky proposition.
Exactly.
There. Yep. I mean, you gotta get some production somewhere else because okay, let's say you win AFC South, but that's about it. I mean, you're getting smoked, you know, your first playoff game. I mean, it just you know,
that's
Tannehill needs to step up, you know?
Yeah. 15 to 25 for Tannehill, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 181 yards.
That's such a Tannehill stat. Like low yardage, 1 touchdown, no interception. He's not going to light up the score sheet. But I agree with what Sterling said. For right now, I see them as making the playoffs, maybe even winning the division, making the playoffs, and then losing in their first matchup because the teams in the playoffs can do more things than they can. And Henry is going to be, you know, a little more beat up come playoff time because they've had to ride him this hard throughout the season.
Yeah.
We've seen him come through those and endure that, but that team is not built to win in the playoffs.
Yep. It's a struggle.
Yeah, it is.
I'd almost put the rookie in at this point.
Oof.
At quarterback? Wow, I don't know about that. No.
What do you have to lose?
Well, the thing is the division doesn't look good either, so Tennessee just got to kind of hold it together, go 500, and they can win the division, it seems like. Mm-hmm. But let's move on to the next one here. Let's go LA Chargers 30, pull out a close one against Cleveland. Jacoby Brissett was playing well all day.
You want to talk about dumb decisions?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, what is he? Look, man, you're 4th and 2. You make a bone. Not only was the play stupid, but he throws it to the defender's back, like a 4th and 2 in your own territory or in the other opposing team's territory, and you're like. And the Cleveland Browns will Cleveland Brown. How about that? Wide right. I mean, man. Brandon Staley, man. I get, look, analytics is cool.
Yeah.
But come on, man.
You got to use common sense with analytics. It's not 100% analytics.
Yes.
Use a little common sense.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah.
Every time.
The Chargers, man, even though you won the game, you should have beat the brakes off of the Browns. Right? If you're
I disagree with that.
Hold on. If we're talking about the Chargers that we thought they were coming into the season, you should handle the Browns with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. But the fact of the matter is they're never as good as everyone says they are.
Yeah. Well,
and this is why
this was a game that even in the preseason I would have said would have been competitive. I expect the Chargers to win. I picked the Chargers to win this game, but you're right that this was closer than it should have been. The Browns, I've been saying this all season. Even though they have Brissett at quarterback, they still have a really good roster. They still have a really good defense, and they still have Nick Chubb, who they need to ride and die. Again, in this game, you want to win, Cleveland? You want to win a game? Stop running Kareem Hunt. Stop it. Stop switching. Look at the stats. Look at him. Nick Chubb is averaging 9.1 yards per carry. Last week, I think it was 8.7 yards per carry. That's not a flaw, a fluke, right? You've done it week after week after week. You put in Kareem Hunt, he averages less than half of that. 4 yards, 4.1, 4.2. If your Nick Chubb is getting 9 yards a carry, stop resting him. I know that sounds crazy because, you got 2 heads and they can both run the ball. If you consistently run the ball with Nick Chubb, you will consistently put points up and you will win games and put yourself in position to make the playoffs once your star quarterback comes back. And we don't know what he's going to be when he comes back, but still, they are putting themselves in a bad position by just not making good calls.
Well, this thing is like you're running Nick Chubb so much, 17 attempts in this one on the ground. You got to give him a break once in a while. But
sure, one series, but they are doing this back and forth. How many carries did friggin' what's his name have in this?
Kareem Hunt had 11.
11.
Trying to keep him rested to break off big runs, right?
But
big
he's
chunk
built like
plays.
a stainless steel fridge, man. Like,
Yeah.
just let the man run.
9.1 yards per carry
Well,
speaks for itself.
You clearly cannot rely on the pass game in Cleveland. So what they're doing, I mean, they were in this game, right?
Yeah.
Just a couple plays here and here. Austin Eckler had a huge day on the ground. Mike Williams had a huge day through the air. Justin Herbert had coming into this game had 7 consecutive 300-yard games on the road. That streak is now snapped. Only 228 on this one. But the Chargers, they found another way to win, and that's something you wanted to see from them after dropping a game in Jacksonville.
Yes.
You wanted to see another element from this team, but they almost blew it with that call from their head coach, Brandon Staley.
And also, you look again, back and forth game. One thing that really stood out in this game is running backs, right? Like, this is today's NFL, and we're talking about 2 running backs here who dominated the game, both of them. Usually that means a low-scoring game in the NFL, and this one ended up 30-28 because those guys were dominant and really getting chunks of yards and powering these offenses to score points, which, again, in today's NFL, usually it's the run game, controlling the clock, low-scoring games, get the touchdown still. Look at what the Tennessee Titans did with Derrick Henry as more of the example of what usually happens in games like this. But, yeah, running backs were able to tally it up in this one.
Yeah, Cleveland now 2-3. And what do we say, beginning of the season, survive until Watson gets here and hope to God that he's the same Deshaun Watson. If he's the same Deshaun Watson, I think they really have a good team here.
But it puts that bad loss last week that they should have won, into context. Now, if you're 3-2, that's sustainable. Now you're 2-3. This was a winnable game,
Anthony.
but nobody expected them to win. Now you're 2-3 instead of 3-2.
But you're tied with Cincinnati. Pittsburgh's out of it. Yeah, they can make a wild card run with Watson.
Sure.
But it all comes down to him, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I rest in peace to the Chargers defense.
Yeah, what happened to them? Jeez.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
They cannot stop the run at all. All.
Nobody's stopping Nick Chubb right now, anyway. But
there's some teams that can.
Multiple weeks in a row.
But it ain't the Chargers. It's not the Chargers, man.
Stinker for their defense again.
And Brandon Staley's a defensive coach. Like,
where's
the defense?
Yeah.
You got all the names. You got every name at every level you can imagine.
Every level. You got to start at every level.
And they can't put it together. It's just not. It's what we've seen consistently out of.
You're right. They do have pieces everywhere. On paper, they might be arguably the top 3 team in the league. But they just they can't play 4 quarters.
Put it together.
The same swan song.
Yes, exactly. Every year. Overrated.
Let's move on to a team that can play 4 quarters. The Pittsburgh Steelers with rookie
Josh Allen can.
Kenny
I was going to say, I disagree. The Bills only play 3 quarters, okay?
Anyway, the Bills take this one 38-3. Was never close. What a fun game for the Bills fans. Josh Allen just slinging it all day long. Career high in yardage for him.
First quarter, the score was only 3-10. I actually think the Bills played a bad first quarter despite that long touchdown pass to start it out. 3-10 against this team. You were allowing Pickett to look good down the field. I mean, it was not a great start, and it looked like they kind of had to remember that they do want to win this game. And then they came out with much more fire in the second quarter, and their defense really stepped up as well, allowing them to get yardage but not get anything from it. Granted, they missed a couple of field goals. There was questions with Tomlin. Hey, should you go for it? Should you not? When do you actually go for it? But they were close enough that I think those decisions were made correctly. Maybe the second one you go for it when you're down by a lot. But at that point, you're just playing for morale, and you still couldn't get it because he missed the second one as well. The Bills in this one, absolutely dominant, putting points up in every which way. But that's what we expected, even with 8 guys out. This is what we expected from their offense against an inferior opponent like this. The Bills, once again, proving why they're the team to beat. They left 2 touchdowns on the board. They fumbled. Josh Allen threw an early interception that was terrible in the end zone. Bad throw into good coverage. Levi Wallace, the ex-Bill, making a big play. And then the fumble at the half-yard line into the end zone by the backup tight end later on in this game. So 2 touchdowns left on the board, and they still swamped them 38-3.
You got high demand, Anthony. High demand for this team.
Absolutely. The Bills had over 125 yards rushing in this game. James Cook had his first touchdown, which I was excited about. 500 and some odd yards total on offense. And Kyer Elam, even though he was getting torched,
First interception. Yeah.
he got his first pick. Khalil Shakir came in big. I thought the run blocking was improved this week for the Bills. But that was the homecoming game. Now they're up for the big boys in Kansas City. So we'll see how it turns out. But if you're a Bills fan, you got to be excited about the win.
Right, you got to be excited about Josh Allen. Playing lights out. Makes some beautiful throws in this game.
How about
it's his it's 8th career game with 4 touchdown passes. Ties Andrew Luck 8 games for the 3rd most such games by a player in the first 5 seasons in NFL history. I feel like every time we do these stats, Andrew Luck's name's there.
Yeah, he was right.
I heard he was good.
He was.
Yeah, he was.
Didn't work out. Right?
Only 2 players with more, Dan Marino and Pat Mahomes.
That's a pretty good list to be on, right? And how about the records, if you want to talk about records? Josh Allen, this is his career high passing yardage in a game with 4 touchdowns. The team, Gabe Davis, led all-time Buffalo Bills in yards per reception. With the win, Sean McDermott passed Marv Levy for highest winning percentage of a Bills coach in history. Lots of records broken in this one for the Buffalo Bills, and lots of curses broken against the Steelers as well. So wow, what a game for the Bills.
Yeah, but also longest pass in the first 90 seconds.
Man, what a beauty! All
right, stop gushing. How about Kenny Pickett? I thought he played pretty well. He throws the ball 52 times, only 1 interception, 327 yards for him. Way better option than Trubisky. Way better.
Most of that was in garbage time. I mean, he did look good moving the ball down the field. Let me tell you, he got the ball out quick, and I was frustrated in that first half because I'm like, wow, this Pickett he's picking on our guys right now. And again, remember the Bills were resting a lot of guys on defense. No Tremaine Edmonds. No
Give
Jordan
the man
Poyer.
some credit.
Yes, but
Give
he looked
the man
good.
some credit.
He did what he had to do. Again, getting the ball out quick, being accurate, and hey, sometimes the wide receivers can actually catch it on this team because they were not doing that for Trubisky. They dropped it a bunch.
I thought the Steelers had a great game plan for Kenny Pickett. The comeback routes, lots of those. George Pickens, got the majority of them. They didn't really run the ball a lot. They couldn't, obviously. That game plan went out the door. But I mean, he hung in there. I mean, he got in one of the guys' faces for hitting them low. That fires your teammates up when you're in the game and you're trying to.
I think he's legitimate. I did not think in the beginning of before the draft, I said that none of these quarterbacks I didn't think were going to be good caliber elite starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I didn't think any of them would be picked in the first round, and Kenny Pickett was the only one picked in the first round. And to me, in this game, he proved why. He looked that damn good. That yes, I can play at this level. Yes, I am that dude that can thread the needle, get it in, and I'm not afraid to get hit, and all of that. He was very good, very good.
Yeah,
I got to see more. I mean, it was garbage time.
For a young QB.
Just think about it, though. Just think about this. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a good chance you could be picking first in the draft.
Yeah,
top 3. And do you say no to one of these? CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. I'm taking a look at him. I am.
Well, because I think you got to roll with Pickett. He's a fan favorite.
You don't though. You don't.
You have to. You have no choice. Don't. Pittsburgh guy.
You rather have Cody Pickett over Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, or the Kentucky.
It's not about that.
It is about that.
Yeah, but I
would currently.
You already have your quarterback.
I don't know, man. I just don't know. If I'm the GM, you should not go in expecting the draft top 3 ever. If you are going to be in the top 3,
sell the farm.
And you have to look at the quarterback position. Even if you could trade Cody Pickett and get something in return. I'm just saying, if
Kenny
Pickett.
Sorry, Kenny Pickett.
I keep thinking of the Nebraska kid, Cody.
Yeah, Cody.
But all I'm saying is you got to do your due diligence. You have to look because you're not expecting to pick this high. So if they continue on this trend, they're going to be picking pretty high in the draft.
I think it's 0% chance only because he's a local kid. They're just not going to do that. And he's playing okay, right? If he bombs the rest of the season, maybe, but he looks good. He looks legit out there.
So far,
you got to develop that.
So far in the mock drafts, there's 3 quarterbacks going top 10. Well, it means nothing right now. But I mean, it could be a good quarterback class.
They will stay there.
You always have to consider it.
Enough.
But knowing what I know about Pittsburgh, they're not going to be in the top 5. They're going to find a way to win some games.
That's
Mike Tomlin just does it, but
they don't have it. They ain't got it, man.
Because there's no way they're going to out-tank the Carolina Panthers. No way.
That's true.
Next game here, San Francisco blows out Carolina 37-15. Carolina now 1-4 through 5 weeks, and they're blowing it up, folks. Matt Rule's out, fired, gone, signed a 10-year contract, only made it through 3 years. His record is 11-27 as a Carolina's head coach. His NCAA record 47-43. Time to go back to college, kid. Hey, dude gets paid $40 million, I think it was. What a job on that contract, though. What a job.
Dave Tepper. This is Dave Tepper all the way. That's the owner for the Carolina Panthers. You created this mess. You fucking fix it. Look, Baker Mayfield is god awful. He's not good. He's not good. And we've been saying this for years. The man's not good.
55% of his throws, 1 pick.
If you're Carolina, what
Bad
are you doing?
throws, though.
Sell it. Brian Burns, you could kick him out of town, get some draft picks. I mean, you really have, outside of your draft class this past year, everybody else can go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say this.
You better start building for the future now.
The NFL rumor Twitter handles, who the hell knows who operates those? They are going crazy today. Everybody on the Panthers is for sale, except Baker Mayfield. Nobody wants his ass.
Yeah, well, nobody wants him. That's the thing. He's definitely available.
DJ Moore, I saw one for DJ Moore. I saw one for Christian McCaffrey. I didn't see anyone for defense yet, but I'm looking for one for defense. They got some good players.
Well, they already traded a linebacker to the Cleveland Browns, right? That happened literally after the game.
That was
right?
Atlanta.
No, that was Atlanta. You're right.
Deion Jones.
Yeah,
but there's definitely rumors there that I've seen from the defense. They are.
I think Jeremy Chin's out, right? He's hurt.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, that's the one guy I would look for. I like Jeremy Chin a lot.
Yeah, he's dope.
But anyway, they're all for sale. If I'm Carolina, you got to get a quarterback. You have to. You got to be desperate. Trade everybody. It doesn't even matter. Get them
exactly.
Well, one of those guys that Sterling mentioned is going to be in Carolina next year. Without
you got to. You have to. There's no need to be cute about it. If somebody wants McCaffrey for a 3rd or 4th, you send his ass.
Oh yes. Yeah, I would. He hasn't done much for you.
Yeah.
His injury history. He's frustrated. There's no reason to keep him at this point.
Yep. You got to get rid of him.
Blow it up. You got a good
matter of
defense.
how much can you get back, right? You're going to have 10 third-round picks if you really blow it up. I mean, the problem is now that you've fired the head coach, it means you're hiring a new head coach. Are you going to fire the GM as well? Do you get a new GM? And do you start all over with a new regime? That means everybody's up for grabs, literally. So that's why it does make sense to just trade away. It doesn't matter how young they are, how good they are, whatever. You have to start over. So whoever's coming in is going to want their guys that they brought in their positions. You're burning it to the ground now.
Yep.
And I heard all off season, preseason was, and Eric was guilty of this. Oh, this roster, it looks so good, and they're so good.
Hey,
and I
they
said,
are good.
But they can't put it together.
Roster, right?
They can't put it together. And when you have Baker Mayfield, that is your first problem. Right. You chose to have Baker Mayfield. You failed your own organization.
Hey, Anthony. Get your Baker Mayfield content in now because he ain't going to be in the league that much longer.
Exactly. That's
so get it in now.
Hey, I'll see him when he's like calling college games. In a few
I was
years.
high on Carolina coming in this season. They're a good roster, right? There's multiple defensive players on that were early draft picks who a lot of teams would love to have, right? Derek Brown, Brian Burns, forget his name.
Jeremy Chin.
Chin. Who's the other one? Gross Matos.
No, he's trash. He ain't it, bro.
No.
But hey, first round pick. There's talent there, right?
Yeah, they got some guys you can pluck. It's time to rebuild, and the GM got to go too. If you're owner, just start fresh. Just hire a GM. Do it the right way. Hire the GM, right? Hire the coach. Get a quarterback.
Should have kept Brandon Beane.
I know, right?
Brandon Beane was in them 19 years. I heard before the team sold, the GM that was currently there was fired because he didn't retain Brandon Beane. Anyway, Might be true. But now look at him. It's important to raise your own. Let's move on. I got 3 games left here. We got the Birds, the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles 20, Arizona 17. This game was closer than I expected. Arizona did come to play in this one. What's your thoughts on this one, Sterling?
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray. When are we gonna start talking about him as one of the top quarterbacks in the league? Because right now he's getting paid like it, but he ain't playing like it. And as much as we want to say, well, he doesn't have D-Hop. No, if you're a franchise quarterback, you are expected to elevate young talent and get them playing.
They have enough pieces here.
You have enough pieces.
Zach Ertz.
You got enough pieces. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
I think coaching is part of it, and I don't think Kyler Murray's that good.
Yes.
I just don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I think he has all the physical tools in terms of like his athleticism, but dissecting the defense, he just doesn't have it.
What is Jalen Hurts doing that Kyler Murray's not? Because
running the fucking football.
Kyler Murray's a better passer than Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts makes it work.
Jalen Hurts knows what he's good at and knows what he's not, and he has a coach that makes his scheme fit look way better than it is, and they have the supporting talent to support that scheme fit. That's what they're doing. They know what they're good at, and that's what they do.
And the number one thing that I always chime in with quarterbacks, and Josh Allen is the poster boy of this now, that I preached for all the years that we were telling people about Josh Allen before he emerged in 2019 as a top contender. You have to improve as a quarterback. That's all you have to do. If you show growth in every category, you're moving in the right direction. Jalen Hurts has done that. Jalen Hurts, the team has gotten better around him, and he's gotten better because the team got better, because he's gotten better. He's learned. He's gotten smarter. Kyler Murray has never done that. Never. His rookie year, he was okay. The next year, he was good. Then he just kind of was mediocre. Then, he put up some yardage with D-Hop. But he's just been mediocre, and that is not good enough. He's above average. He's good. He's got the talent, everything you can praise him for. But the bottom line is he's not showing improvement. And as a quarterback, when you don't do that, that's everything. That's literally everything you need to know. And yes, he will be better if once D-Hop comes back. He will look a lot better. Anybody would with a number one wide receiver like that. And I think if you swap these quarterbacks, right, if you put Kyler Murray on the Eagles, would he do just the same thing they are? Probably, because that roster is really, really good. But I don't want to take anything away from Jalen Hurts. He is playing at an elite level, and he deserves some credit.
I think it's scheme. A lot of it is scheme, in my opinion. Like you said, Sterling, the coach has to work to the strengths of the player. Jalen Hurts had 2 touchdowns in this game, and he has 2 touchdowns in every game. But the one thing I've noticed, and I don't watch a ton of Cardinals, so Cardinals fans, feel free to reach out to us, correct us if we're wrong here. He's in the shotgun too much with no blockers. Kyler Murray's doing it all himself behind the line of scrimmage, scrambling around. How about you put 2 running backs back there and run some RPOs and he'll have blockers to run because the guy is fast as hell. I just don't see the scheme for that. It doesn't back up his skill set, right?
Well, part of this is Kingsbury.
Yeah,
I mean he's not a great head coach.
They're trying to be a pass off.
Yeah, air raid. But it's you get pushed around in the NFL, right? Your offensive line is stressed out because you're in shotgun on every play.
And their offensive line's not that good.
Yeah,
and you got a defense that athletically, they're really good athletically, but they're not very good either. So what do you have to rely on? And like you said, Anthony, I think a lot of this comes down to Kyler Murray taking a step, and he hasn't taken a step. Look at the playoff game last year. Like, we can make fun of Josh Allen all we want back in the day, but at least you saw something. You saw it. You saw it make sense for Josh Allen. Like
mental too,
right?
Mental.
We're not seeing that with Kyler Murray.
No,
you're just not seeing it. And this is you can. It's like they go on talent alone, right? And this is what you get.
You got to draw something else up. Another team that we're going to get to here shortly. The Bengals are going through that as well, running that air raid. You have to have a good offensive line, and they just get pushed around in the NFL, right? So, got to mix it up, right? You can't have one scheme forever. The Chiefs change their scheme kind of in and out and all around, right? And they have success every year because of that. So, you can't just run the same scheme every single year. Anyway, next one here, we got Dallas. How about Cooper Rush? 22, LA 10.
Cooper Rush? Cooper Rush didn't do nothing.
The defense.
That's on the bench.
The defense, right? The defense is what mattered. And in our preview episode, again, this game went exactly as I thought it would. Dallas dominated. Why? Because we saw in the San Francisco game, the Rams had a lot of flaws in that offensive line, and the San Francisco attacked it and made the quarterback uncomfortable, and it was bad day for Matt Stafford against the 49ers. Same thing here. Stafford had the yardage and all that at the end of this game, but the bottom line is that the Dallas defense made him uncomfortable, and it worked in their favor. They were able to take an early lead and maintain it throughout because their defense played well, and the offense just did what it had to do. 22 points is not lighting it up on offense. Cooper Rush didn't even have a touchdown in this game. He had 102 yards, right? The run game was very dominant for them, which is what you expect from this team.
Right.
You're in a backup quarterback. You have two really good running backs. Pound the ball, let them do their thing. And that's exactly what happened here. Pollard had a huge run, a 57-yard touchdown run in this one. That was really the exclamation point at that point to solidify that the Cowboys were probably going to, close out this game in good fashion. And that's what they did. No points in the second half for the Rams. None.
The Rams aren't good.
They're not. Their offense is
not
bad.
Good.
And the one touchdown they had was probably the gimme that I would say, which is the long touchdown to Cooper Kupp, right? So he had a 75-yard touchdown, but everybody's going to give that up to Cooper Kupp, right?
Right. He had 100.
No matter how good your defense is.
But yeah, both Super Bowl teams now 2-3, losing records here in Week 5. Story of this game: the Rams are number 2 in the most turnovers in the season. The only team ahead of them is the Saints with 13. And the Cowboys are dead last. They're tied for least amount of turnovers on the seasons at 2.
Yeah.
And this is the problem when you say F those draft picks. You don't have the depth that you need because, for years you've given up your draft picks and you got proven stars. But again, you gave up picks last year for Von Miller. He's gone, right? Mm-hmm. And you can look at this roster. You spent a boatload to get rid of to get Jalen Ramsey. I mean, look, man, these draft picks are important, and you see it. Like they have no depth, and they're struggling, right?
They got their Super Bowl.
They got their Super Bowl. But it's not long-term success.
I'll sell 10 years for a Super Bowl. How about I would.
I don't know.
I won't.
I mean, you stole for a Super Bowl, but the point is when you're building in the right way, you should have multiple opportunities at a Super Bowl because the fact of the matter is, had they lost that game, where would they be? In hell. They would be dead in the water if they lost that game. And they were very close to losing that game. Let's not forget, right? Yeah, well, it wasn't a runaway for them. Yeah. So had they lost, we'd be talking about how dumb it was for them to do all of that stuff that they did over the years and how they screwed up. So, yes, it happens to have worked out in their favor because they have a Super Bowl, but that doesn't mean much for them. They screwed it up big time.
I think Sterling's doing a little advertising down there. Bruce exclusive on Buffalo Rumblers. Anyway,
going anonymous there, Sterling.
How much did he pay you for that anyway?
Yeah.
Anyway, last thought on the Rams. Stafford's got to get the turnovers down, right? 7 interceptions on the season. That's been the story there. Whether it's offensive line, to me, I think it's decision-making, honestly. Mm-hmm. He's always been a little shaky in that area. I expect him to overcome it moving forward. All right, last game of the week that we're going to talk about. The Bengals, 17, lose a close one to Baltimore, 19-17.
Frustrating, right? This was, again, I don't care what anybody says about analytics or all the bullshit you want to bring into it. The Bengals pull the Ravens, okay? It's 10-13. You have the opportunity to kick a field goal and tie the game at 13 on 4th and 2 in the red zone. And what do? You go for it, you miss, and guess what? You're losing the game now instead of being tied because you didn't want to take free points and you thought your offense was good enough to score. You screwed up. You have to tie the game there. And that was early. That was in the third quarter. So you still had time to come back and win. A tie game is better than losing. That's not analytics, right? That's common fucking sense, right?
Gotta use common sense.
It was so frustrating to see because the Ravens just did this last week against the Bills, and it was a storyline everywhere. And the Bengals come in and screw it up again. They gift it to them. And I saw that play, and I said, that's going to be what decides the game. And now take a look at the final score. Bengals 17, Ravens 19. Guess what 3 points would have done you? A win. You would have won the game 20-19. And granted, the Ravens did win on a last-second field goal. It was a close game throughout. Neither offense could really get things going. It was kind of an ugly game, I think, for both of these teams. When you're talking about Lamar Jackson, versus the two quarterbacks should have been lighting it up. Burrow did not have a great game either. Should have been way over in scoring. Should have been one of the best offensive games of the week, and it just wasn't. It was quite the stinker actually for both of those teams. And I don't even think I would say it was like a good show up on defense for either team. It was just bad offensive play on both sides of the ball. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, T. Higgins really didn't even play in this game. I mean, it's a divisional game, so they're gonna be like this, right? It was a fun game to watch. I mean, it just it was a game of coaching, and John Harbaugh was a better coach yesterday. I do wonder about Joe Burrow sometimes. I mean, you just go like, I need you to play better, and I didn't think Joe Burrow played a great game yesterday.
Yeah, one interception was brutal.
Yeah,
right.
Again,
kills momentum. Can't have that.
Yeah, you're just waiting for him to make a marquee play, and he didn't yesterday.
Right. And this game could have went either way. Both.
Right.
This is a typical AFC North game, right? Defense, coaching, not a lot of offense, but really whoever gets the ball last and kicks the field goal. This is how they always end.
Sure. But again, if nobody thought this game would finish 17-19, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, both of them playing well.
Right.
Nobody thought this was going to be this low scoring of a game. And again, it's not like either defense has been an elite defense this year. No, they've both been pathetic, if anything. Yeah. And that's not good for either team. And
Baltimore was the more physical team, and they punked. They punked him. And that's
they earned the win.
Right.
Yeah, they earned the win. There's no doubt about it.
A lot of big players for them, but
and they should have won by 2 touchdowns, Anthony. I mean, Lamar Jackson missed 2 touchdown throws.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. They settled for field goals because made mistakes.
Yep, and they got to find a way. They got to find a way to run the ball more. Or the receivers really aren't good options at this point, right? You got Isaiah Likely's one. Mark Andrews always solid for them, but who's going to step up in Bateman's place, right? Haven't really figured that out. They had Duvernay on early. He had a pretty decent game, but is he going to be able to do that week in, week out? And for the Bengals, got to find ways to get Jamar Chase involved. Looks like teams are doubling him all the time. Go to someone else, like you said, T. Higgins. Make him the star this year.
Even Boyd, I thought Boyd would have a
great game. That's what you do when you have a Jamar Chase. He takes the attention of the defense. Why not, distribute the ball around a little better?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all we got for week 5. Hope you enjoyed our rapid reaction. Keep it going every single week, every single Tuesday. We try to get through it fast, but it always takes an hour. There's just so much to get to. I feel like we pay attention, we do our research, so there's a lot to talk about, right? So, all right, let's touch on one thing here. We talked about Matt Rule. I got to talk about this. Tom Brady gets the worst roughing the passer call again. We talk about this every single year. It wasn't even roughing the passer. You just laid him down. But really what this brings up is the volatility in the calls for roughing the passer. We watched Josh Allen take hits after hits after hits. We watched Joe Burrow take hit after hit after hit. Tom Brady just gets off way too easy every year. Got to be a better way to do this, right?
This is just pathetic, right? This was absolutely pathetic. You don't have to be a football expert or even know about football other than, you tackled the guy with the ball to know that was a clean play and that there was no penalty whatsoever committed there. And all of a sudden the flag comes out because it's Tom Brady. What did he do? Say, hey, ref, I think he hit me too hard. And then they threw the flag. It gets pathetic when it's the same guy that you're protecting, right? Like you said, Josh Allen doesn't get those calls. Joe Burrow doesn't get those calls. But Tom Brady, he got sneezed on by the defensive lineman. We need to throw a flag that's a penalty. And, oh, my gosh, Tom Brady went down to the ground, and it's a flag.
Well, how come
anyway you look at it, just stupid. Yeah, exactly.
Why is there no review system?
Review it, especially because we're talking about concussions with what happened with Tua, right? And you're saying, we need to be more aware of concussions. Then why don't you make that a reviewable play? What if there was a helmet-to-helmet hit on Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, guys we're talking about who do frequently take hits? That wasn't called because nobody saw it, but they're like, hey, he got hit in the head. We better challenge that.
Now, they do review it in college, right? The targeting.
Yes, they do.
The
Exactly.
rule is
Targeting.
review.
They do.
Right.
So
Only
it can
for
be
targeting.
done. I just don't understand why they don't even try.
If you're going to try and protect players and that's what you're going to preach, then you need to review that play and say what is happening. Same thing here. If you thought you saw his head get hit and you're going to make the call to take him out of the game now, which is what we saw with the Dolphins, right? Bridgewater, he did not have a concussion. He has been cleared from concussion. He did not have a concussion. He hit his head and he showed some symptoms that they said we're not putting you back out there, period.
Overreaction to Tua, right?
Especially,
Are we seeing
protection
that?
from what the same team that saw with Tua. Absolutely. Now the whole NFL is going to be more cautious with that. They have to be.
Right.
They changed the rules.
Which is fine. But
the point here is you can't, if you can review it, and you said, oh, he hit Tom Brady hard, you should be able to review here and make the right call and say, no, that was not a head-to-head.
And if you reviewed this play, you would see that Tom Brady kicked the player.
Yeah, after
you can't do that.
Right.
You can't kick other players.
He's the one who got the
He's
personal
just doing
foul.
his job just like you are. You know what I mean? So I'm shocked there's no review system at this point. Even after the Tua incident, there needs to be a review because a review maybe would have caught that, right? Tua would have been out of the game for his own safety because he was concussed, right? There was mistakes made in the process that maybe would have been caught on the field, and we avoid the whole media storm that goes with that, not to mention the added risk to the player, right? It gets avoided at that point. So it's just shocking, right? I just get sick and tired of hearing this every year about Tom Brady, gets basically picked up and laid down. This has been a meme for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
And
It's
nothing ever gets done, but yet, the running quarterbacks, even Lamar Jackson, gets slammed every single week. And I got it. If you're a running quarterback, there's added risk. You're a football player, right? If you're not a running quarterback like a Tom Brady, we're not real sure if you're a football player. But, there needs to be less volatility in this area, in my opinion. All right, we got one more segment here. We'll start off with Sterling. We're just going to go, who's better? We're trying to find out where these teams are, where they rank. Instead of doing a power rankings, let's just go, which team's better, this one or that one, right? So Sterling up first. I got 3 here for you. Then we'll switch over, and I got 3 for Anthony. Who's better, the Giants or the Dolphins? Who do you think has a better record at the end of the year? Who would you put your money on?
I put my money on the Giants right now. Yeah, I mean, look, they're playing inspired football. The Dolphins defense is not very good at all. They're not good. And now you have questions at quarterback. At least Daniel Jones is mediocre, but you know what you're going to get every single week. And I know that the coaching is better. The coaching right now is better, it seems like. The Dolphins, I like Mike McDaniel. I really do. Offensive court, from an offensive standpoint. But yeah, I mean, look, dude, you have to find ways to win when it gets dark and murky, right? Like Andy Reid says, what do you say? Be the Grim Reaper. When it's dark, be the Grim Reaper. I don't see that killer instinct with the Dolphins right now. I know they had a third-string quarterback playing yesterday, but it's not an excuse. This is a game where your defense should not allow 40 points, right? So at least when I see the Giants, I see, they may not have the stars,
playing inspired football,
but they are playing their butts off. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I don't agree for a lot of reasons, but I think that mainly because are the Giants going to beat the Eagles? No, not a chance. Are the Giants going to beat the Cowboys? No.
We're not talking about that.
No.
Who's better, Giants or Dolphins?
You still have 2 games against the Eagles. You still have 2 games against...
Who's better? Not in the division, not where they're going to finish the season. Who's better, Giants or Dolphins?
If they played each other, who would win?
The Dolphins. I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. The Dolphins would win that game. I mean, if assuming that Bridgewater is at least at quarterback and not the third-string guy who we only saw because of the non-concussion to...
What if Tua's the quarterback?
Tua, definitely. They look at the wide receivers. The Giants have not. The Giants are the record right now is a factor in who they played. Yes, they're playing well. Yes, they're playing better than anybody thought that roster could. But the Dolphins are the better team on the paper and on the field, every which way you look at it. Unless, of course, they're playing a third-string quarterback.
It seems like right now
has to play better.
The momentum is split. The Giants are trending up with momentum.
Correct.
The Dolphins are trending down with momentum.
Correct.
It seems like. Injuries are definitely part of that.
Coaching matters.
But man,
coaching matters.
Agreed.
I would pick the inspired team. I think the Giants right now would beat the Dolphins right now.
Look, the Giants can run the football, right? They can control
They're playing
a game.
Good defense.
Their defensive line is playing well.
They
can control a game. The Dolphins cannot on either side of the ball, offensive line, defensive line.
Right.
And I think NFL games are won in the trenches. And the Dolphins are answering the bell in that area.
Unless you have a Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, you got to play in the trenches, right? They were down 35-14 versus Baltimore. Offense bails them out, and you're going to have games like that with an offense like this, right? Tyreek Hill, right? Jalen Waddle, but man, they were down 35-14. That's something to be said about. Now you lose.
They can run the ball. They have Raheem Mostert who's playing well. They got the Dolphins are still the better team,
right?
And no matter what the record shows you, they're not trending. I agree with the trending. Giants are trending way up. Dolphins are trending down. The Dolphins are still the better team.
All right, we'll move on to the next one here. Throwing you're up again. Packers or Cowboys right now? Who's better?
The Cowboys. The Packers are. They're not.
Cooper Rush.
I don't think they're very good.
Versus Aaron Rodgers.
I would take if the Packers and the Cowboys played, I'd take the Cowboys right now. Again, the Cowboys defense is elite. They have probably the second best defensive player in the league, and Micah Parsons. And they can control the game on both sides of the ball, line of scrimmage, offensive line, defensive line. Look, if the Packers let's say if Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback and they don't want to pass the ball, they got offensive line and 2 running backs that they can rely on all day and then use Cooper Rush to throw play action pass. The Packers, they're too finesse. They want to throw the ball all over the yard, and they don't have the tools in the garage to be able to do this. And so the Cowboys,
or run the ball effectively, and when they do, they can barely win games still. That's not okay. You can't be a good running team and a decent passing team and then barely win games when you're doing what you're supposed to be effective at entirely. This one was a softball. The Cowboys are way, way better.
Wow. Yeah, okay. Didn't expect that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is always going to bring them back. Will they figure it out, right? They lose a game in London, which is a neutral place, right? It's a pain in the ass to fly out there too, right? So how much can you put this against the Packers? The Giants are inspired, right? They played hard. They didn't make any mistakes.
New England? Zappy, remember? He played the whole entire game, and they had to go to overtime to beat him?
Shut out the best offense in the league in the Detroit Lions.
Come on. Common sense. Come on.
Yeah. I always go with the quarterback. I'll take the Packers are better than the Cowboys right now.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You are the only person on planet Earth who would say that right now. You and Aaron Rodgers.
I'm talking about Cooper Rush Cowboys here. We're not talking about the Dak Prescott.
Cooper Rush's Cowboys are undefeated.
He threw
Dak
for 100 yards.
Lost. Okay, they're better right now with Cooper Rush. The offense is being utilized in the correct fashion without Dak. Is the team better when Dak is there? Do they have a better chance to win? Yes, without a doubt. Dak is going to be back.
They're not making mistakes.
Exactly.
But I mean, the Rams handed them that game.
The Rams are not a very good team, but
they suck.
Right.
Look, since Cooper Rush has been playing, their run splits are like 60-40.
Yeah.
Like they are getting back to smash mouth football. And that was even before Dak. That was the Cowboys' bread and butter. Now you have Micah Parsons to that, and then you got Trayvon Diggs in the secondary who gets torched every now and then, but he's a turnover machine. Yeah. And you got a defense, Dorrance Armstrong coming up huge yesterday. I mean, these guys are playing really good, man. And
defense is doing what it's.
I could see the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl from out of the NFC.
Ooh,
right
I
now,
really could.
The NFC is completely open.
Right, it's completely open.
And the Packers are not in that completely open conversation. By the way, in my mind, they're not there. Right. They lose to pretty much every other team I pick from the NFC.
And I like Dallas's future. Right, when Dak comes back, I love Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator. But right now, I still think it's Aaron Rodgers, A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones, right? I love that combination. They got to get back to playing power smash mouth football. They're trying to be too finesse, like you said. I do agree with that. But the Packers' defense is stacked, too. Anyway, likely to see these teams play.
But you got to show it, right? You got to show up. Just like the Chargers, the Packers' defense ain't showing up.
All right, another easy one, maybe. Let's throw in last one for you to start off. 49ers or Buccaneers?
I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one. Jimmy G is the perfect medicine for these 49ers. He's not flashy, but in this system, he's the perfect one for this system. I mean, now
he ain't flashy, but goddamn, he's good looking.
Look, Bosa's going to get hurt. Bosa went out yesterday again. But the Bucs, I just don't see, like, we talk about defense. Like, defense seems to be the calling card, and I think the Bucs have a good defense, but you let the Atlanta Falcons score points, and they're bad.
All in the fourth quarter.
The offensive line for the Bucs, I think that's what's really holding them back. And I notice how I go back to the trenches. Every time we talk about these teams, I go back to how the offensive line is playing and how the defensive line is playing. And right now, I would give it to the 49ers. I don't see the Bucs going anywhere, really.
I don't think I can disagree with you on that one. I trust Kyle Shanahan. I don't really trust Tom Brady in the Bucs right now. I love the receivers, but Gronk's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It depends on what we're talking about here. Right now, are the 49ers better? Yes. What do I project? That the Bucs are going to be better. They do still have one of the best rosters on both sides of the ball in football. They have not become completely healthy. Their defense is playing really well. They gave up the points versus the Falcons, but the 49ers have played lesser competition and have won and looked good. When Jimmy G stunk a couple of games ago, we were freaking out about them. Tom Brady has just been like, we're good. All right. We can lose a game and it's not going to affect what our trajectory is. The 49ers are, oh my God, if Jimmy G has a bad game, we're in panic mode. That's what worries me there.
Well, I agree with you, but right now, if the 49ers and Bucs played a game, who's winning? I take the 49ers. Right now. I'm not talking about end of the season. Right now.
The Buccaneers are 31st in rushing. I thought that'd be the strength of the team, right? But, yeah, I think I'd go 49ers as well. It's a tough one, though. It's definitely
yes, it is. And this could, if somebody told me this is the NFC Championship game, I wouldn't be blown away shocked, right? Those are two good teams. The NFC is wide open, like we said, and those are two teams that can legitimately be there in the end.
So we all agree. Yeah, just the aging quarterback thing, and I know I say this every year. Everyone does. And like 46, 47 years old, it's gonna get him eventually, right?
Yeah.
When is that? I don't know.
Yeah. I hope
50,
it's soon.
50.
All right. Quick pace here. No analysis. Anthony, Ravens or Chargers?
Going Ravens.
Quick pick. Ravens. Sterling.
Ravens.
I got to go Ravens too.
Don't trust him.
Although the Chargers are better on paper.
Yeah.
Browns, Titans. Who's better? Anthony.
Browns.
They only lose because they don't want to win.
Man, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. But I like the Browns defense better. All right, maybe that one's too easy. Texans or Panthers?
Oh, Texans times 1,000.
I know the Panthers. I could.
I'm high on the Texans. I love the Texans. I love
the coachless Panthers.
I love the Texans all the way.
I like the Panthers roster heading into the season. I'll eat my words. They may have the first overall pick. The Texans defense has been playing pretty well, but we'll see what Steve Wilkes does with this Panthers team. We'll see. All right, that's all we got. Thanks for tuning in to Touchback Tuesday, our Week 5 recap. Be sure to tune in with us on Thursday. Check out Anthony's Pick 6 on fire with the picks. He'll give you his top 6 best bets of the week. Also, we'll look ahead to for the Sunday preview. We'll check out every single game coming up for Week 6 already. The NFL. I think the bye weeks start next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Also, it cuts down our job a little bit, a little less work for us. And Sterling, check him out on Buffalo Rumblings. The show's called Intentional Grounding. Bringing every single pregame show for the Buffalo Bills. Live at Jackson's. Every show's live at Jackson's or just some?
Yeah, it's live at Jackson's.
Live at Jackson's in Denver, Colorado. If you're ever there for work or you live there, be sure to check that out.
Check it out.
We always had a good time doing that. And, if you disagree with us on anything, comment on our stuff, give us feedback on the show, maybe some segments you'd like to see, maybe some segments you don't want to see. We're always willing, to take feedback and make our show better. So thank you for tuning in. And I know Anthony's got something for us.
We're into week 6. Toss your hat in the ring.